It's 6:24.
Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:37, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on Tuesday, July 16th, a very busy news day. Coming off the heels of the first day of the Republican National Convention, President Trump emerges for the first time publicly, and what a moment that was. We have a new running mate, and we have criminal charges against Donald Trump dismissed. We're going to get to all of it, starting at 7:05 with Tony Sabio, former Secret Service agent, to recap what we've learned since Saturday's assassination attempt. 7:35, Brent Bozell Media Research Center. 8:05, Governor Scott Walker from Milwaukee. Talk about that first day of the convention. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Today, the Teamsters are here to say we are not beholden to anyone or any party.
Hey, that is Teamster President Sean O'Brien last night for the first time in that union's history addressing the Republican National Convention. He then went on to say this.
In my administration, the Teamsters reached out to 8 Republican senators who stood up for railroad Teamsters over our fight for paid sick leave. Josh Hawley was one of them. We started talking. Senator Hawley changed his position on national right to work. Then we started walking. Senator Hawley walked a Teamsters picket line in St. Louis and a UAW picket line in Wentzville, Missouri. More than that, I want to recognize Senator Hawley for his direct, relentless, and pointed questioning of corporate talking heads, lawyers, CEOs, and apologists.
Now, that's the sort of thing that we Republicans over the last several decades have grown accustomed to hearing at the Democrat convention, celebrating someone like Senator Durbin or Senator Sanders, not at a Republican convention celebrating Senator Josh Hawley. So what to make of all of this? Mark Mix joins us now, president of National Right to Work Foundation. And, you just got called out there. He's celebrating the fact that Josh Hawley now opposes national right to work. Mr. Mix, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Larry, Julie, good to be on with you. You guys framed this up pretty well earlier in your show, but this specific instance was very fascinating because Josh Hawley came out and changed his position on right to work, saying he would never impose right to work on anyone. And so what Sean Fain didn't say there was right to work is a very simple issue. We believe that every worker in America should have the right to choose whether or not they want a financially supported labor union. Josh Hawley has changed his position, so now he believes that workers across America should be forced to pay union dues to unions that don't represent them, that they never asked for, never wanted, and oftentimes, Larry, to your point earlier, spend billions of dollars on one political party to put them in office. So it was an interesting story. I'm sure Josh Hawley hopefully he's proud of what he's done, but I suspect that there may be questions for him about his support for forced unionism now.
In case anyone's wondering, you said Sean Fain, which is an appropriate mistake to make. No, that's okay. That was Sean O'Brien, the president of Teamsters. Sean Fain is the president of UAW. But they are of like mind on issues like this. And should good free market traditional Republicans and freedom and liberty-loving Republicans be concerned about what appears to be a move toward organized labor and maybe undermining right to work?
Well, I think so, because what they're talking about is government action to propel and to promote unionism, as opposed to allowing rank-and-file workers across the country to make decisions for themselves. Sean O'Brien's a wise man. He gets it, Larry, and you made the point earlier that a lot of rank-and-file workers, including Teamsters, are not voting the way the Teamster bosses have instructed them to do in the past, or union officials for that matter. These workers understand that protecting the border and smaller government and less regulation and Second Amendment protections are important to them, and yet one party is basically trying to force them to support candidates that don't believe in any of that stuff. In this case, we now have a situation where the president of the United States, the former president Donald Trump, stood up on policies that attracted rank-and-file workers. And Sean O'Brien, almost did that again. Sean O'Brien understands that his membership is migrating away from, and there's a growing chasm between union officials and rank-and-file workers in the country. They're scared of that, and they want the government to come in and paper that over so they can maintain their power that's existed for almost 100 years now, giving them the power to force workers to associate and then force them to pay dues as a condition of getting or keeping a job.
I understand that obviously this campaign is looking to sort of, flirt with organized labor. That was very clear last night. But organized labor is only 10% of the workforce. I'm a working mother. At one time, I was a freelancer, and there are 64 million freelancers in this country. Talk to me about, J.D. Vance's position, and also Senator Hawley, who they refused to support the Congressional Review Act that would have protected independent contractors. That was what I was as a mom. And the Republican Party also has trouble attracting women. Why wouldn't they support that? And do you think J.D. Vance will change his tune?
I'm not sure. I think his articulation of issues and views will be highly regarded by the former president's advisors, President Trump's advisors, as they go into the campaign. But you're right, Julie. That's a really big issue in the fact that this legislation that came out of California called AB 5 was basically designed to say this: look, independent contractors can't be unionized. Yep. Employees can. So the more chance we have to classify people as employees, the more opportunities union officials have to organize them. And Julie, you know the story here. Literally millions of people have lost their opportunities in California. They're going to lose their opportunities under the change in this definition of employee versus independent contractor here. And I hope the Republicans don't bite on this, and I hope they continue to provide opportunities for folks.
I'm curious, Mark. We were speaking with Mark Mix, National Right to Work. You heard President O'Brien of the Teamsters last night at that podium at the Republican National Convention talking about how Josh Hawley has changed his mind on this, and 7 other senators joined him on that. And what exactly have they done? What are the Teamsters? What are they changing their mind on? What are they bringing to the table other than saying, okay, now that you do what we want, we're going to bring you support? Which, listen, it's politics. I get it. That's what happens. But is there any other nuance or softening maybe of their positions on anything?
Absolutely not, Larry. That's a great point. The primary objective of their operation right now is to pass a bill called the PRO Act. We've talked about this before. This bill, first and foremost, would repeal all right-to-work laws across the country. Yeah. That's the first thing it does. And then it begins to penalize business people for standing up and saying to their employees, hey, you may not want to be part of this. One of the other parts, Larry, you mentioned the politics. I mean, let's look at the unions that have endorsed President Biden already. Not only this year, but in 2023, in April of last year, the Communication Workers of America, AFSCME, the NEA, the AFL-CIO, before they even knew who a presidential candidate was going to be or the running mate was going to be, or frankly, who the Democrat nominee was going to be. They'd already endorsed Joe Biden because he's given them more power to force more workers into unions to pay more union dues, which translates, Larry, back to the magical equation of politics and money.
Mark Mitz, National Right to Work, thanks for joining us, and I appreciate it, sir. And I'll just say, the fact is the UAW workers, every major American union, they have something very important in common with President Trump and J.D. Vance and the Republican Party, and that is protecting this border and getting a hold of illegal immigration. We have that in common. The rampant illegal immigration is decimating the American worker that belongs to these unions. We should be able to join forces on that, agree on that, fix that problem. This other stuff, they shouldn't hold a gun to Senator Hawley's head on right to work or the PRO Act or independent contractors, all those things like that. Let's get together on this one thing, and then we can move on from there. But I don't like where this is headed right now, and we'll keep an eye on it for you. That's all.
Yeah, Larry, thanks for the opportunity to talk with you this morning.
Appreciate it. Didn't know he was still there. Now I feel bad because that was just sort of a little. It's 6:40.